I want to bring in now Ron Vitiello, former chief of the U.S. Border Control and former acting director of ICE. Ron, thank you for joining us. You just heard the reality from Jorge. Highest numbers ever in December. We've been doing the story constantly on NewsNation, but it just keeps getting worse and worse. It feels almost like a runaway train at this point.
Yes, thanks for inviting me, Jorge. Brian, thanks for inviting me. Happy New Year. Yeah, it's really bad. It's been getting bad every single day since the beginning of this presidency. My dad used to say often, if he had $1 for every time something happened, if I had $1 for every time I said, this is the worst crisis we've ever seen on the southwest border, I'd have a really nice nest egg going into 2024. These are overwhelming numbers. It's overwhelming CBP, the DHS frontline. And you heard from the reporter that it's also overwhelming these cities like Lukeville, Arizona, Eagle Pass, Texas, Del Rio, and others. It's a terrible tragedy based on the choices that they made. 300,000+ in December. Just to give you some context, not that long ago, the first full year of the Donald Trump presidency, 2017, we only had 310,000 encounters by the Border Patrol in 365 days. Not 1 month, 365 days, the entire year, the entire fiscal year. So this is orders of magnitude worse than it's ever been at any other time in the history of the border, and really no end in sight. This administration refuses to take any steps to make this situation better. And that 2017 time cycle for the 365 days, no changes in immigration law, no assistance from Congress. The executive branch, for part of that year was in the hands of the fiscal year, was in the hands of the Democrats. And so this can be fixed if people have the will to fix it. If this administration would look down on that border and look at what the toll is, it's being taken on the people who are in the pipeline, in border communities, and the rest of America.
Yeah, and even if, you're concerned about the migrants, just you heard what Jorge said, what they're going through right now is just awful. It's a humanitarian crisis. But I'm still thinking back to his reporting just now about the app, that there's the app that they can download. I mean, an app, it seems like we're far beyond asking people to download an app.
Well, that's the thing. The app is designed for people to set themselves up for a parole hearing and wait at the port of entry. And there's a limited number that they can do each and every day. What's important about that is that's what the administration and the secretary call legal pathways. Well, parole is not a legal pathway. It is an avenue for people who need humanitarian relief to come into the United States. It's not designed for large numbers of unaccompanied children. It's not designed for large numbers of families that are coming. It's not for the kind of flow that we're seeing today. Parole is supposed to be an individualized discretion that's given at the port of entry by an immigration officer in real time. Putting that on an app, really, the thing that does is it encourages more people to get into the pipeline. It allows smugglers and cartels to tell people, hey, there's a way for you to get in line over here at the border. Come this way. Give me your money. I'll smuggle you to the northern part of Mexico. So it's not reducing the number of people in the pipeline. And the avenue is so limited that it's frustrating for everybody that's involved, right? The officers on the line are overwhelmed. Border Patrol and the front line of DHS are overwhelmed. And these cities and towns, they had to close Eagle Pass because of the large volume of people who are waiting on the other side, trying to come in, some illegally and some through the app.
Yeah, I can't imagine being an officer out there. What do you make of the buses and the planes that take the migrants for free where they want to go all over the country? Because some people see that and they get very, very upset. And they feel like it's almost an incentive, like, come on over, we'll take you where you want to go. But at the same time, like, what are these towns in Texas supposed to do? They can't all just stay there. They've got to take them somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's right. When I was an operator at the headquarters in D.C., we had we had constituencies like Yuma and places in Texas calling and saying, hey, we're being overwhelmed. You need to do something about that. Well, that transportation post-arrest and post-release by CBP is really on the individual who came, right? They come, they have a brief stay, they get into the system at CBP, and then they're released. That's, again, encouraging people. But once they're released from CBP custody, the government has kind of got a hands-off opportunity. And so the NGOs will step in, some cities and towns will step in, and we've seen the state of Texas, the state of Florida, others, allowing migrants to get on bus rides to the city and town of their choosing. But thousands and thousands and thousands every day are doing that on their own without help of the government. And to your point, places like Eagle Pass, they're just not equipped to have tens of thousands of people on the ground after they've been released from CBP. The towns are just not big enough. There's not enough hotel rooms. There's not enough hot meals. There's not enough rides of transportation. So people are left to their own devices, and many more people are going to Chicago, New York, LA, and Denver on their own or with the help of NGOs without being helped by a government.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's certainly a crisis. We'll continue to cover it. Ron Vitiello, who's also running for U.S. Senate in Virginia, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.